a killing idea. If it's nothing season, is this what you want? I'm not the only one.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Retro Alliance Gaming. How are you all doing today? Again, once more, you cannot hear me, but I can hear not you. What?
Wait, what?
I cannot hear you! Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video. Oh no you don't, little lady. And the video I'm going to be doing today is a sentimental story about Mrs. Butterbean right here.
My name is Princess Maple Butter Blondie, you absolute peasant.
This beautiful little kitty. It's going to be about a weekend that I had that was absolutely amazing. As you can tell, it's titled A Tale of Saturn and Butters. Do you want me to let you go? Okay, give me a kiss. We're going to let you go. Alrighty guys, so I want to talk to you about this amazing freaking weekend that I had that really honestly changed my life in a lot of ways. And in other ways, it was just kind of lucky and incredibly exciting. So, many years ago, I'm going to say somewhere around 6 years ago, we were getting ready to go and stay at a friend's house. One thing I want to point out is a lot of people ask me, how did you get all these games and where did they all come from? Like, how much money did you spend? And they think I'm rich. I am absolutely positively not rich. And most of these games I actually managed to find for like amazing freaking deals. And some that I don't even know if I would ever find these kind of deals again. In one such situation, this happened this weekend as well as how I found Baby Butters. So again, going back, Edna was going to stay at her friend's house and she had asked me if I wanted to come and I was like, no, I didn't feel so comfortable going over and hanging out at somebody else's house. I just kind of wanted to be in my own pod, in my own comfortable zone. She kept messaging me because she couldn't sleep well and she just really wanted me to come over there, and eventually I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and head over there. So I head over to her friend's house. As I'm heading over to her friend's house, I was looking on this ad that was on Craigslist and I saw this guy and he said he was passing through town and he had a ton of Sega Saturn games that he was selling, and I was like, okay, well, sounds like it'd be pretty awesome. So I called the guy up and he's like, okay, I can meet you here around 10, 11 o'clock. So we get over to her house and I'm waiting, and this guy goes pulling up on his motorcycle and he had the backpack on. And he was literally a drifter just coming through town and taking off. And when he introduced himself to me, he's like, yeah, so me and my girl broke up. And these are all the games and stuff that we separated, and I'm just looking to make a little bit of money, maybe something for some gas and just for being on the road. I was like, okay, cool, so let's see what you got. So he proceeds to open his bag and he starts pulling out these stacks of Saturn games, these huge stacks of Saturn games. And I had just gotten a Sega Saturn and I had like Nights into Dreams, maybe a couple other games, nothing that I would say was particularly rare. And I looked down at these games and I was like, oh my freaking god. He had some of the rarest and most awesome games. He had the Panzer Dragoon games. I believe he had Albert Odyssey. He had Guardian Heroes. God, what else did he have that was over there? He had Resident Evil. He had Shinobi. He had Shining Wisdom. He had the Bug games, Bug 1 and 2. Street Fighter Alpha. This one game which is like this horse racing game, Post something, I can't remember what it was called, but he had this stack of literal amazing and very expensive games. Now, when I asked him how much he wanted for these games, He said he wasn't looking for much, maybe like $5 to $8 a piece, but I knew how much money these games were worth. There was one game in there alone that was worth, I guess, about $150 at the time. And so I wanted to get the deal, but I kind of mentioned to him, you know, that these, you know, games are worth a bit more, you know, online and stuff. And he's like, that's fine. I was actually going to tell you that all these games have gone up in price. They're actually worth a lot of money. I don't need any of this stuff anymore, so go ahead and pick out what you want. So I'm like super excited, and I'm going through here and I'm grabbing all these games and I'm like stacking them up and my mind is exploding. So I ended up grabbing something like 15 games from him, and I paid something like, I think, $50 total. And he actually had more games that I probably should have bought at the time that I didn't. But basically, I ended up getting a small but amazing Sega Saturn collection just from this one guy. If I added up all these games, it would have come to over probably $2,000 or more. I'm assuming right around that range. So this is the first thing that happened this night. So I just happened to find this drifter. I was the first call. I get these freaking amazing games. So I'm jumping and shaking and I'm running and I'm yelling at Etno and everybody. I'm like, you're not even gonna believe this. And I start pulling out the games and I'm like, oh my freaking god. And I go through every one of them and they're perfect. They are mint. I start looking them up and the prices and I just got so excited. So this is one amazing thing that happened. And I've had many of these incidents take place from many years ago. That's how I managed to get so many games and how many games that I currently have now. So I'm thinking to myself, this is like the best night ever. I just got all these freaking games. I'm so freaking happy I came over here. Well, that isn't actually the most special part of the night that took place. The games are fantastic. I love them. As you can see behind me, I have them all and they mean a lot to me. But I would literally trade every single game in this room for what happened next. I'm sitting there in the room by myself and they're in the kitchen and they're like cooking or something like that, and suddenly she's like, babe. I'm like, what? And she tells me that there's this cat meowing at the door, and it is freezing outside and it's scratching out the door and just she's meowing. And so she's like, what should we do? I'm like, let the cat in. So she lets this cat in and I see her running in, and it is the most beautiful, adorable little thing that I've ever seen in my life that I don't know how to explain it to you, but when I saw her, it was like love at first sight. It was like, you know, when people talk about meeting their soulmates. You mean the way that we looked at each other? Yes. Exactly. The exact same way, but it was like finding my soul cat. I just looked at her, my familiar, and I felt incredibly attached to her, and she was really hungry. So I went into the kitchen and I started cooking bacon, so we're frying up bacon, and she hops on the couch and I start feeding her this bacon, and she is just gobbling this down, by the way. She is loving it, and she's immediately comfortable. She sits right next to me and even gets near my lap, and I'm just sitting here and I'm petting this cat, and I'm like, I need to take her home. But at the same time, we were worried that maybe somebody had lost their cat, so we went about knocking on doors and we put up an ad to see if anybody would respond back. Nobody responded, nobody at all. And what I'm assuming is that somebody moved and she was abandoned.
She gets afraid around boxes.
She does. She gets very afraid around boxes and whenever we're moving or anything. So we get ready to pack up and we're going, and we let everybody at the house know, hey, we have a cat that we're bringing that is out in the cold and she's freezing and she's all by herself. So we get her and we get back home. She is cuddling, she is purring, everything is just amazing. I set up my games, I feed her some food. Well, what else am I going to feed her? And she hops up again on the bed and I'm petting her, and it was like this emotional connection I can't even begin to explain to you, but I loved this cat. She meant everything to me in this particular moment. So fast forward to a few hours later, somehow the door got open and she got out. Mind you, she was actually in heat at the time. Most people would look for a few minutes or do whatever and then be like, well, you know, whatever, she's gone. I felt such an emotional connection to this cat that I felt like I was letting her down. I'm like, how could I have let this cat run around after getting her and her being lost? She's going to get hit by a car, something terrible is going to happen, and I just felt personally responsible, but at the same time, I loved her. I don't know how to explain it, but I loved her so much. I'm sitting in the room, and I'm just like really upset. I have anxiety, I'm having panic attacks, I'm crying, honestly, guys. I am. I love animals. I love animals more than people most of the time, although I met, you know, so many great people recently, but animals are amazing. So I go downstairs and I'm frantically looking all around the neighborhood. I'm running everywhere and I'm trying to find her. I don't find her. I'm out there for an hour. I come back in the house, go back out for 30 minutes, and I'm trying to find her. I still don't find her. And after hours and hours go by, I just come up the stairs, I'm laying there, and I'm not talking. And I'm normally a very happy person. Edna looks at me, and she can tell I'm distressed, and I heard her sitting there praying, saying, please let this cat come back. And I was so sad and so depressed that I was going to lose her, and most of all, that she wasn't going to be safe. So after all of this, I'm moping, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go to bed. So I go to lay down for a sec, and then I just got this feeling, you know, this weird feeling, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go check one more time, just one last time. So I walk downstairs, moping like this, and I get down there, and there's this little window right near the door, and this is where I was looking out, and I reach over and I look out, and she's sitting right freaking there. So my mind like explodes, and I just run and I open the door, and as soon as I open the door, I looked down at her, and I'm like, Kitty, and she literally runs and jumps on me, and I grabbed onto her, and I don't think I've ever held a cat this hard in my life, where she kind of just jumped towards me, but was kind of crawling up me, and I've never held something so hard before. I felt bad, like, oh, I wish I had a little friend, like, okay, I don't want to suffocate her. So I grab her, I lock the door, and at this point, guys, tears are flowing down my face. I am crying, and I am so grateful, and I walk up the stairs, and Edna looks at me, and she's like, oh, thank God, and I'm like, yeah, and I held her that night, I pet her, I gave her a kiss, I told her I loved her, and we fell asleep. And from that point on, she has been with us ever since. She never tried to run away, she never left the door at all. Even if the door's wide open, she won't leave. This cat, the connection I have with her, it's weird because she has like separation anxiety. I also used to have separation anxiety, and I have abandonment issues. She's had abandonment issues, and whatever it happened to be, I felt like she was meant to come into our lives. And over the years, she's become so sweet and kind and loving. Whenever I've been sad or depressed or anxious, she lays on the bed and she just purrs. Whenever I leave, she sits at the window waiting for me, and as soon as I come home, she looks up and she starts meowing at me. At night, she comes and lays on our pillow or cuddles in between both of us. She's always there. She follows me to the bathroom. She follows me everywhere. She sits on the toilet while I'm taking a bath, and she even likes to take a dump while I'm taking a bath, which is horrifying, but I just love her so freaking much. And I just wanted to share this story with you guys today. So basically, you never know what's going to happen in life. You never know when something very special and something very beautiful is going to come into your life. And I guess it all comes down to the decisions you make. You know, they always say sometimes you make a left in the road and you make a right in the road, and you never know what's going to happen. I feel like everything was aligned for me to come there and for me to find this beautiful baby cat, and I love her so, so very much.
Even if she's a brat.
Even if she's a little brat. So that's going to be my story for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Lesson that I want to give to all of you out there. Whenever you feel like you want to get up and do something, or maybe you feel like you don't, get up and do it. Go out of the house. Go to that store. Run around.
Even if you're depressed.
Even if you're depressed, force yourself to get up and go, because one little tiny thing can literally change your entire life. And with me, Butters came into it, and it made our lives so much better. Anyways, again guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please stay tuned for a lot more content. And as always, my friends, until next time.